People, DG, I'm back again. Specific to this vid, an Arsenal style of play or lack of style of play. I'm going to be using the tactics board this day. I'll pick it up in a second. But depending on where you sit on the fence, it's an interesting debate as to why Arsenal have this style of play or lack of. I say lack of is because some people say they can't see it. I'm of the opinion now is that can you actually see what's being done? And it's just not what fans want to see, sort of thing. People will point to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer at United and Sorry, obviously they're not in the best of form, but Sorry at Chelsea of that an evident clear way of playing. And obviously there's other examples. I will say this though, a lot of people, myself included, when we hear philosophy or way of specific managers sort of playing wise, we always attribute it with, obviously, and quite rightly so, the tick-a-tacker. Like, if it's not tick-a-tacker, just entertaining football, 1,000 goals, 1,000,000 passes sort of thing, showman stuff. That is a way of playing, people, and like I said, that is my way of playing football, people. But I think that's the trap that modern day football's gone into, is that if you're not seeing them sort of things, you assume a manager doesn't have a way of playing. I don't agree with Jose Mourinho's way of playing at United obviously when he was there before Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. But you can see a dramatic increase. I say this. You look at that United side, and I'd say when they're playing, just look at any specific player's first touch. Obviously not everyone. You got special guys in that team that are quite poor, but they're looking forward. Matic especially. Look at the difference between how he was playing under Jose. He's not playing amazing, but his first touch, he's playing with his head up versus sideways and backwards. I didn't like Jose's way of playing football. It was obviously stagnant, negative, overly cautious, way too reactive rather than proactive, back foot football sort of thing, ridiculously defensive ultimately. But that is a philosophy of way of playing. That is a way of playing football, people. And I don't feel it's not what people want to see, but we need to recognise this to actually have this debate. Now, specific to Arsenal, it's an interesting one in regards to how we're trying to play, because I must admit, it is a tough one because I do feel we should see a greater way of how Unai Emery wants this team to play. But at the same time, it's difficult because there's a lot that needs to be done at Arsenal. I say why we need to see a way of playing is because I see what he's doing. He wants to be able to play a range of formations. I've said that in previous videos to him coming. We've got to be able to do that. He wants us to be, first and foremost, kind of solid defensively. He wants us to play out from the back. He wants us to defend great from set pieces and exploit set pieces. You look at the stats between the two respective areas where Arsenal are doing pretty well in that. Our fullbacks obviously press high. I can bring the tactics board in for a sec, but our fullbacks obviously press high. Press ridiculously. Our fullbacks obviously press ridiculously high. We want to play out from the back, and obviously bring in our creative players when the time comes. The circles will make sense in a second, people. Let me put it back down. But it's a difficult one because our fullbacks are our wingers. Cola's consistently an assist provider for our side. But when you look at the statistics in the Premier League, we're one of the sides with the lowest crosses. And personally, I'm not saying we know Arsenal want to walk the ball into the back of the net, but you'd think our fullbacks would want to cross more. As a team, we'd want to cross more and rely on the great movement between Aubameyang and Lacazette. Now, bringing in the tactics board finally, people. We know this is how we want to play, how Ono wants us to play. Leno gets the ball. He obviously, as a keeper for this sort of way of playing, you've got to be confident. So he needs to bring in the back three. All should ideally be ball playing or comfortable ball playing defenders. Then it's on the pivot. Now the pivot is where Arsenal specifically go wrong, because I don't feel our pivots move good together at all, people. Just to make the example is that removing them, they don't move together. Now, obviously, they don't need to be fixated. One has to go short at times and one needs to hold position. But what I specifically mean by that is you constantly see gaps. You see gaps in our side. Is that... Don't you dare drop. Apologies, people. You might see one pivot, one guy here, or both of them caught. I don't feel we work well enough as a midfield pair in any formation, really and truly any midfield. Any combination, any midfield pairing we actually go with, to be fair with you people. And that one there is on Unai Emery, because the players need to be sensible in terms of positioning. But if it doesn't matter what combination, that one's on the manager, innit? But our fullbacks now. Now the fullbacks is an interesting area. Like I said, they're highlighted because they're our width. That's our width in the team, people. They need to push as high as they possibly can in it, together with obviously our midfield, as well as receiving it off the back three, specific Xhaka in most cases. They've got to push up and help as well. But there's a problem with this. I don't feel comfortable relying on our fullbacks, because in games, people, and I need to put this down to obviously write it down. I see this, and this is when we play 3-4-3, obviously, people. But this is what I typically see in a game. Obviously, let me remove everybody apart from the back three. You've got the pivot. Obviously, our fullbacks, rightly so, in this system, they've got to be very high. Typically, Aubameyang, and if it's a Iwobi, let me do an I and an M. Iwobi and Mickey. My handwriting is terrible. What typically happens, people, for me in the game is this is where it becomes difficult. Now, my handwriting is terrible. Make your jokes. You can see our fullbacks on either side, right, people, yeah? On either side. Let me come a bit closer. You know, we're not working with the best attackers there. But you can see our fullbacks on either side. And if you can't, they're highlighted. The first issue is this, and this is where it comes down to coaching. Let's say this is Xhaka. We know Xhaka's got a problem with mobility. If our fullback goes like this, our midfield has a difficult job, because he's got to talk with his pivot member, the member of his pivot, his midfield partner, just to keep it short. But there's also a space here, people. Now, this is where it becomes difficult. When it's Monreal, we can cope with it. But against United, it was Koscielny that was being forced into this flank with Lukaku. If Kohler goes down that flank and attacks people, that's fine and dandy. We need him to do that. But this is the dangerous area. The attackers of the other team, they exploit this space. Kohler's already gone. Kohler's trying to recover in most incidences. He can't get back into the game, people. He really can't. This is where the opposition exploit us, because what happens, people? Monreal now, well, Xhaka needs to get across, and 9 times out of 10 he's too slow, and that's not just a criticism of him. All our midfielders, because I don't feel our midfielders follow runners good enough either. But you see that he needs to come out into that space. If Xhaka, let's exaggerate it a bit, people. If Xhaka's now gone out to close that space, what do you see? You see a gap. You see a gap, and you see other teams in midfield. It would do that. Sorry, people. The black ran out. Opposition midfielders exploit this space. But back to Monreal. Monreal gets pulled out of position now, people, because he has to go and help deal with the threat. So now Monreal's out of there. And now there's a fat space in our defence. Now Koscielny and Mustafi have to liaise with each other and deal with any threats of any other runners, but they've got to shuffle across. Midfielders have to drop, to which is too late because there's a space. And that's 9 times out of 10. That system has really been troubling us, people. And if I didn't even want to highlight that, but that's a problem I see. That's a gap, and that's obviously the players need to. I don't want to actually attribute that to Unai Emery, because I believe players need to be sensible and sense these things in matches. But at the same time, the manager's giving them tactics to go out and implement, people. So yeah, remove all of that, make it look a bit more prettier for you lot. Exaggerate the fullbacks again. Getting a bit of a cold there, aren't I? And this is another problem I see of us, people, is actually now it comes to our attacking players, because we're playing with inverted wingers in Iwobi and Mkhitaryan. Mkhitaryan's more suited to the wings than Iwobi, you'd say, because he's done that in his career. But both of them, I feel Iwobi would be better in the 10. He does his thing on the left wing. Both of them are more what I call inside players. They want to get onto the ball. Neither wanna be like a Alexis Sanchez historically, where they want to get into space, or Aubameyang and use their pace sort of thing. They want to come to the ball. So they're very narrow as it is in Mkhitaryan. They're very narrow, people. They're very narrow, which is cool because we've got our fullbacks providing width. But they come very narrow and get sucked into the ball. Aubameyang don't really know what's going on, so many a times he's either up there or he dips. Now, this is where the opposition scare me, people, because what you typically see, if these lot are narrow, think about it, people, if these lot are narrow, yeah, and the opposition, let's just say they got 3 midfielders, yeah, they've got 3 midfielders. They've overrun us in midfield because we're playing with a pivot, and they'll have fullbacks. They'll have fullbacks. These are our wingers, essentially. We know the fullbacks in our team are essentially our wingers because they provide the width. But in actual formation-wise, our wingers are Mkhitaryan and Iwobi. So in layman's terms, there should be 2 of each on either flank. If these lot are coming inside, it's 2v1. And what I mean by 2v1 is you have the opposition's winger and you have our fullback. Now, I was a fullback, not to this standard, people. But my manager would tell me, if this team is doing all of these things and we've got a defensive mid, I'm the opposition now, I can go, people. It's 2v1 out here. It's 2v1. Our winger's going to do his thing. I can go and support him on the overlap and have an adventure. Now, this is where it comes on our players. Mkhitaryan's improved of it, but there's only so much you can do when you've made a mistake. How many times have we said our players are failing to track back? So there's that. So I feel you can see the holes in our playing. Sure, I feel the way we're playing is actually too... It is too negative, people. It is very negative. I do think it can be fixed because I think Unai Emery's shown how he can fix it. I do think what he's trying to implement in terms of making us a bit more solid defensively, I feel he can do a lot more in it because I don't feel they're doing enough coaching. But I feel the majority of that is the team letting themselves down with silly individual mistakes. So I allow him. If we can marry that with the attacking thing, then cool. But my query with Unai Emery is the attacking threat. He shows it sporadically. You look and I say the same examples. Ironically, I feel... I'd say now watching the game again, Arsenal versus Chelsea when we lost away from home because of how we had a goal. Arsenal at home against Chelsea, how we played against Liverpool in that victory where it was 1-1 against Liverpool. I'd probably say United away to a degree. Spurs as well at home in our victory. When we're on the front foot, we're pressing. Our first intention when we get that ball is to pass forward. I don't feel we do that often enough because, I mean... Against Bay, I don't feel... Obviously, in hindsight, we didn't need to go free at the back. But I just feel we were too... The intent isn't necessarily to go forward. Like, yeah, you see our fullbacks getting very high and stuff, but there's not enough desire to get in behind. Like I said at the beginning of this vid, statistically, we're up there for scoring goals. But I don't feel we're playing to our potential because with our midfield... I don't feel our midfield are necessarily trying to dictate games, people. What I mean by that is, we obviously try to keep possession. These lot play out from the back. Leno from time to time will even hit the fullbacks. But what I mean by this, the midfielders, it's all sideways. It's all sideways and return it. Recycle it. You see the sort of angle, people. We're not trying to... When these midfielders get the ball off my man, his instinct consistently isn't to look forward, people. I feel we've suffered from a kind of... inferior complex from that, man, which brings me to my last point is, at least for this season, at least a part of me feels the defense. I see what Unai Emery is trying to do, especially games like Liverpool when he's trying to go with Lichtsteiner, and Maitland-Niles, two in theory fullbacks on that side to kind of mitigate that threat on the left hand side of Liverpool. I get it. With a couple more better defenders and defensively minded people and experienced players, it can work. But I just feel we need to marry the two together. And I believe at this moment, at least for this season, the players aren't going to get it. I want to see us still train and try and make improvements, but we've shown time and time again, there's many examples I can talk about and I have spoken about through all my vids, of us letting ourselves down defensively, whether it's individual errors, not closing people, or a series of errors or movements which players didn't do which could have eradicated the whole goal or the sequence to the goal. I feel we're not going to get that out of our books this year. We're still going to let ourselves down defensively even when we try to do that. So part of me feels we need to take that up, be a bit more attacking, just play to our strengths. We've scored a lot of goals. I don't feel we're playing to our full strengths. Well, definitely not defensively, but in an attacking sense, despite the goals and Aubameyang chasing the golden boot and things like that. We might as well have a go against teams. We might as well, because when we can't defend, there's a psychological problem with our defending. You look at our players, we concede one goal and our heads drop. And also, what was it? In the last 10 games, how many clean sheets have we had? Forgive me if I'm wrong, people, but surely it's about 2. I personally feel we've seen what Unai Emery wants to do. I feel in nature he wants to go with a 3-4-3. If not that, his nature is to kind of just remain intact in terms of positioning. It's not necessarily to play the ball forward. And I feel a big reason as to why he came to this club was to essentially bring us that sort of, obviously defensively, and to be fair to him, he's got a million things to do, but to restore that. Ironically, the man who let it go in the last 2 years, that Wenger ball, that sort of once you get the ball forward sort of thing. I don't feel we're doing it, because can you really and truly say we're playing to Aubameyang's strengths? If Aubameyang's one of his best attributes is movement, and he's shown that with a lot of his poaching finishes. But how many goals have you seen with an early cross from a fullback whipped in behind and he's run into the space? We haven't put in enough crosses. We're not playing to players' strengths. Even with our midfielders, we're not playing to their strengths. So for me anyways, I think the diamond is our thing, people, at least to the end of this season. Have I even got the diamond correct? Yeah, I have. Yeah, make it look a bit prettier. So I believe the diamond is our thing, people. I think the diamond is what Unai Emery should be doing to the end of the season. Now, he's the manager. I'm just someone in my bedroom. I don't know. But I see what he's trying to do. He wants his fullbacks to go forward. All right, cool. Your fullbacks can go. There are wingers until July. Sorry, there are wingers. So let them go. In theory, Torreira, he drops. So in theory, there's 3 defenders. It's not so bad. And either midfielder should be trying to do their thing in it. And it also helps with guys like Xhaka that are lacking mobility, or Guendouzi, who sometimes lets his youthful exuberance go into positions where he might necessarily vacate this position, and then and that could be an issue for us, obviously. If you look at the opposition, again, with 3 midfielders, capitalise on this space. Again, our fullback would be out. In theory, that would be down to, well, not even down to, we'd need my man, Mesut Ozil, or who it would be for me, to track back. But I feel that's what we should do, people. I wasn't even trying to go into the tactical stuff right about now. But, in fact, while we're here, we might as well say one more thing on that topic. I wasn't even planning to do this, but I feel there's a point I could make. I'll use this formation to do it. Yeah, cool. I feel in games, let me make the opposition. I feel in games what actually happens is there's a lack of ideas, people. There's a lack of ideas is because Kohler's obviously typically gone, and our fullback is typically there. Xhaka's typically Xhaka. Who else? Xhaka's there. This, let's say this is Ramsey instead of Ozil. Aubameyang will go into this space. Well, you'll see Lacazette drop here. Put an L there for Lacazette. You'll see Guendouzi's youthful exuberance might take him up here. And then you'll have Torreira trying to everything here. Let's put the opposition's defense as well. Yeah, I've put a few opposition people for you lot, But if you look at it, typically in a game, you'll have our fullbacks. They've obviously gone. Kohler's gone. Our midfield is typically gone as well. Xhaka's typically in just mad pockets of space. He's trying to receive it off the centre half. Sorry, people. Torreira will be here trying to mop stuff up. Ramsey or whoever will be going forward, and so on and so forth. Lacazette, he wants to get onto the ball, so he'll be dropping there, and Aubameyang will stay up there. But the problem is, people, when teams soak this stuff up, soak the pressure up, because we don't cut teams open anyways. Look at the shape. I've just done a few of them. You can't see how we're gonna unlock that defense, can you, people? Look where I've circled the blue, excluding Torreira. Do you see what I'm saying, people? Even here, do you see what I'm saying? So it all relies on us tactically. I've gone off topic. I was actually just meant to speak about Unai Emery's way of sort of playing and stuff. But in short, people, I don't know, man. I feel we're seeing it. I actually feel we've seen it. I know a lot of people, myself included, are saying wait a bit to see how he implements it. I think we've seen how he wants to play, people. He wants to get the ball off the fullbacks. I mean, he wants his back 4 including the keeper, to be to set the tone essentially. These lot to make the difference. The pivot to not only receive, but also that, and play forward. And then you've got Aubameyang, Mkhitaryan. This is what you typically see. Well, the ideal world, you'd have the keeper and the back 3 distributing and stuff like that. You'd have either member of the midfield trio, midfield pivot, dropping deep, passing it side to side, retaining possession, or looking forward. Our fullbacks are key to the system, obviously, because they provide the width. Because if we didn't have any width in our team, we'd be too narrow, and the opposition could exploit it. Clearly, people. And then obviously it's down to the final 3, the front 3, to make the difference, people. And again, the issues become when one wants to drop here, one wants to drop there. There's midfield runners and the rest of it. I feel we're seeing it. It's just the thing with this is our first thought isn't to, when these centre halves get the ball, it's not to play forward. They're all going sideways. We're going sideways, and if not back, we're going sideways, and if not back. Don't get it twisted. Eventually, we go forward and we cut oppositions open. I don't know if I showed that good enough, but you get the point. apologies for how I've been handling the tactics board, people. I don't feel it's my best tactics board in terms of not only presentation. I know I'm not working with the best stuff, but in terms of delivery. But yeah, man, I can't always be at top form. I just thought I had some thoughts, and in this 20 minutes I've been here, I thought I'd share it with you guys. If I've wasted your time, forgive me from the bottom of my heart. But for those of you who feel I've given you some content, like and subscribe and just give me your opinions. DG, I'm out. Apologies for the messy display as well, but I'm a football man, I'm not a presenter. People, I'm out.